We good to go?
Yep.
Start. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Renu from Genius Kids, host of my favorite show. Well, actually, I've got a couple of favorite shows on Thursday, but this starts with my first Thursday show on radio, Voices. Have a noise over here. Thank you all for tuning in. And today we're continuing on with our series on voices. As you know, this is a show for the community and by the community. And we have several Southeast Asian community members who are standing for elections this year. This is really exciting. And this is our third show on this particular series. And we have some more members with us today. And this is an opportunity for them to present themselves to you, the listeners, and for you to come in with questions to them. Because remember, I'm huge on people who complain. So if you don't educate yourselves and you don't vote, then don't complain afterwards. So this is, even though I'm not into politics, I am participating very heavily this year because I am determined that we get a new leader in this country. And I promised Radio Zindagi I will not take his name because for obvious reasons. But this is the reason why I'm so active in this. And I was raised in a family, a Sikh family like Harbir, where my dad was very active in politics from a young age. And in actual fact, he was the very first deputy mayor in East Africa from the South Asian community and actually all of Africa. And that really laid a foundation for us minorities to get into politics. I choose not to get into it because I'm not diplomatic like the rest of you, but I will definitely host this show and give you all an opportunity to present yourselves. So on that note, a special thanks to Radio Zindagi, to Neeraj, Seba, and my favorite RJ, Ira, for always giving us this platform. And thank you to all of you. So in no particular order, I'm going to briefly introduce our panelists for today, and then we'll begin the show. And if you're listening in and you want to post your questions, you can put them on Facebook and our RJ will post them for us to ask. And if you want any particular person to answer the question, do let us know. And do participate heavily. This is being streamed live on Facebook through Zoom. And you can also watch it afterwards. So no particular order, I'll begin with our first introduction is Chitra. Welcome to the show, Chitra. She is an attorney. I always love attorneys except for divorce attorneys. All the rest are my favorite. And she has worked as a public interest attorney for 11 years, and she's been practicing right here in the Tri-City area, Fremont, Union City, and Newark for the last 6 years. And she believes she's the best candidate for the board, the position that she'll be standing for, because she wants to be the voice of the community, and she'll be sharing her thoughts on that in a few minutes. So welcome to the show, Chitra.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, thank you. And next we have Bilal. Bilal is running for City Council in Saratoga on a platform of community safety, keeping Saratoga green and fiscal responsibilities. He's currently the chair of the Traffic Safety Commission in Saratoga and the vice chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee at Trans-Bay Joint Powers Authority. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Bruno, and thank you for Radio Zindagi hosting all of us today.
No problem, thank you. And our next guest is Jansi Kalapala. Did I say that right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
She's a leader, a mom, a wife, health IT manager, VP of services company, and she has, I believe, a doctorate in healthcare leadership and management, right? As well as a master's in computer applications. And she's actually standing for two positions, if I'm not mistaken, right? We have the Fremont Council, and then we have the school board, right?
Yes.
She'll be sharing her views on that, so welcome to the show.
And
then we have Harbir Bhatia, who I know for a long time. Harbir is running for Santa Clara City Council District 1. She's been a resident of the Bay Area for 25 years. She's a very trusted leader, very active in a lot of things. I'm on a couple of her WhatsApp groups, get lots of messages from her. She's driven to serve the community, arising from the desire for betterment for all, which is a principle of Sikhism. So welcome to the show, Harbir. And last but not least, we have Vivek. He has chosen Fremont as his home for 25 years because of the availability of high quality education for his kids. He's an executive in the technology industry, and he wants to leverage his experience to make Fremont School District better and make the Fremont community more vibrant again. So welcome to the show, Vivek. You need to unmute yourselves, everyone, so we can hear you. Perfect. Okay, so we'll first begin by everyone. Actually, I gave a very brief introduction. I don't think I did justice to any of the candidates. So we'll begin with Chitra. Why don't you spend a couple of minutes telling us why you feel you're the best choice? Tell us about the position you're standing for and why you think you're the best choice.
Thank you. I am running for the Washington Township
Hospital Board of Directors. And the reason I am running for this board is, as you mentioned, Renu, I am an attorney. Every day I'm the voice of my clients in the courtroom. And I believe that I can be the voice of our community on the board. And by that, from a practical perspective, what I intend to do is set up regular meetings with people in the community so I can find out what are the issues they're facing with regard to healthcare. And I'm going to take that information and use it to make change in the hospital administration and the board, because I believe the role of a board member is to be the link between the community. You are the community's representative on that board. And I think it's time for a change. I'm running because I want to be a voice for change on the board. Most of the elected members on this board have been on the board an extremely long time. One of my opponents has been on the board 22 years. It's time for some fresh ideas. And especially in a time like this where we're facing the COVID crisis, healthcare is at a forefront. And I do have some experience in this. I worked, as you mentioned, as a public interest attorney for many years. I worked as a public defender and a legal aid attorney. And I saw every day how healthcare bleeds into every aspect of a person's life. As an attorney, you see it at the tail end. If someone comes to you because they're getting evicted, because they have an unpaid medical bill and their paycheck's getting garnished, then I would help them file an exemption so that they could pay their rent. And these are things, you know, the law and healthcare are linked, and I believe that I can be a voice for all of us on the board. And that's my reason.
Wonderful, absolutely. And yeah, very much for healthcare, absolutely. Bilal.
Thank you, Renu. 2020 has been a really tough year for all of us, right? On every front, whether it's COVID-19, for a lot of us, wildfires in the hills, racial unrest. And at the beginning of the year, I decided, you know what, I think running for office is something that's of interest, but maybe I'll do it like later on in life. And then everything happened. And I just couldn't sit on the sidelines anymore and complain and read about everything going wrong and not try and do anything about it. And so I decided to run for city council because I think it's time for a fresh perspective in government. I think we need fresh perspectives at every level, at the local, state, and federal level. And I want to run in Saratoga to be part of that change because I think change starts at home. I think oftentimes we talk about issues at a national level. And oftentimes when you talk about politics, the first thing people think about is a national campaign or, the presidential election. But the reality of it is that your local government, the city you live in, or your school board has a bigger impact on your day-to-day life and what your kids are learning and the quality of your roads than the federal government does. I've had the privilege of being on the Traffic Safety Commission in the city of Saratoga the last couple of years. And right now I serve as our chair. And it's been really, incredible to work with our citizens and understand from them, what are the things that matter to them, right? From a safety perspective, because the first place that a citizen meets the city is where their house meets the road. And if they don't feel safe on the road, or if they don't feel like they can go for a walk comfortably, especially in a time of COVID, where people are walking that much more, we need to evolve and do a better job of that. As Renu mentioned, my priorities are really focusing on public health in the COVID-19 crisis, thinking about community safety when it comes to wildfires, traffic, and crime, and really focusing on fiscal responsibility to make sure that the tax dollars that fund our city budget are well disclosed and well understood and also well spent. Thank you, Renu.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Vivek, your thoughts.
Thanks, Renu. So, thanks for organizing this forum. It's important that our listeners are aware of the issues. And like you said, if we don't complain now, then we forever hold our peace. So, school district in Fremont. I came to Fremont for the school district, and I stayed here for 25 years. Both my kids graduated from here. They got excellent education. Now, all along the way, parents have been complaining there are fewer AP courses. The teachers don't listen. District doesn't listen. But there's really not a whole lot done. People get all in arms, and then 2 weeks later they're all quiet, right? So my reason to run here is my passion for high quality education. And I want to make sure that we continue to do that. In the name of budget cuts and in the name of some of the socio-political issues that seem to be more of a priority for today's board members, we are driving towards mediocrity, fewer AP courses. AP courses available later. Community colleges not able to offer dual enrollment. So there are many things that were available 5 years ago that are not available here. So I want to change that. I want to bring back focus on education, on building well-rounded students. Now, I mean, working as a volunteer in FUSD for a long time, I built a rapport with teachers, administrators. I was the president of Mission High PFA for 4 years. So we did achieve a lot with the parents, and we found common ground, and we made a lot of progress. A lot of that is lost, and the measure of progress to me was that we had half of the parents actually donating every year.
Right.
And that we went from collecting like 70K a year to 175K a year. The dollar amount is not as meaningful as the number of parents that actually participated. And they saw progress. So, but that whole thing has dwindled back down again. And we need to make sure that we are again driving towards excellence. If there's an Einstein in our community, we will definitely lose that person. We will not be able to support that person. And as this Indian community, I think we value education to an extent where it becomes the primary dinner conversation, right? So,
correct.
So
I'm not sure if you participated in the forum that was there yesterday by David Bonacorsi. He had 3 of the candidates who are standing for Fremont mayor. And I kept posting I'm in education too, running preschools and after school programs in Fremont for over 20 years. And my big point there is that we're losing families. We're losing families every day because there's, overloading of schools in Fremont. Everybody's now moving out to San Ramon, Dublin, Pleasanton, where there's more availability, and nobody does anything. And I kept posting those questions and nobody wanted to answer them, none of the candidates, but thank you for that. Jhansi.
Yes. My name is Jhansi Kalapala. Thank you for having me today in this discussion. I being an educationist, and I see, I've been involved in the Fremont schools from the past 12 years, and I've been living in this Fremont in 17 years. So my kids are attending the Fremont schools, and here in the COVID, it changed a lot of things. So the kids who are attending the schools, they have a lot of issues in the springtime. Now it is better, even a little bit better in the teachers, but there are a lot of issues in Fremont Unified School District which need to be addressed right now. So the major things which my top priorities are, it is like quality education and the mental health issues. So if in our area, if in the Irvington schools itself, if you take the last year survey, so almost 54% of students are affected with the mental issues. So we have a counselors problem in the budget because due to the budget deficits. So that is the thing need to be addressed right now, immediate. It's like due to stress and what the reasons, but the thing is like we need more counselors in this district, and at the same time we call it as a diversified community schools, but still there is just equity in the schools. We address the equity in the schools, so it intrinsic with the students itself. Right now it is not like it comes in after some time. We need to everything it has to in the curriculum. So these are the issues, my top priorities. So I want to be a voice for the half of the students in the Fremont School Board.
Perfect, no problem. And just really quickly, your audio is coming in and out, so you may want to just check your internet, Jhansi, so we can hear you properly. Yeah. Okay, Herbir for Santa Clara.
Well, thank you, Renuji. Again, we continue to do great things and keep the community moving forward. So I really appreciate the opportunity. Simply put, I have a vision for a future that's quite inclusive and very livable, enriched and thriving. And I think we forget about those things when we think about why we're doing this. And it has to serve the whole public, which is our youth, to our seniors, our working families, our essential services. And in this new reality that we face with COVID, issues we're facing with climate, the race relations. I think we really need to rethink about how we live, that we work, we play, we learn, and care for our families, and especially now include our residents in the future. I think that's been very obvious with the Black Lives movement, Black Lives Matter movement. But as many of the others said, I think we need to do this with new voices and diverse perspectives. And I bring the word diverse very purposefully, because our society is highly diverse. And so if we're going to live in this new reality, we have to think about what is it that we need. And where I live, my city is it's just like any others. We've got the families, we've got the corporates, we've got a lot of things. But in my district specifically, we have huge assets. So we have the Levi Stadium, which you guys know about, the 49ers. We have Great America. We've got Convention Center. And we're right at the edge of all the significant development and connectivity to all the different Bay Area cities. So, but my city's facing serious challenges, and people keep thinking it's because of COVID, but we're facing an economic crisis. We're facing quality of life issues, community engagement issues. And I believe the things that we really need to focus on are sustainability, and that means economically and climate, increasing quality of life for all our residents, especially our seniors as well, and our youth, increase the community engagement, and most importantly, build a pipeline of future leaders, just like you often have done with your programs. And I think people forget that we need to create a pipeline of future leaders. So I've been very fortunate that I've received, state level at the Assembly and Senate and local and regional level endorsements, and most recently the Democratic Party and the Mercury News to have endorsed me. So I believe I'm the right candidate. I bring an innovative background, qualified, I'm collaborative, I'm community focused. And I think that's what we need for a sustainable and brighter future that serves all our residents, not just those that have been in the establishment all these years. And this is where I think the minorities get to create a great impact.
Good. Perfect. Wonderful. Well, thank you for all of that. Everybody's had the opportunity to introduce themselves. That's wonderful. And for those who've just tuned in or you're joining us on Facebook, we are meeting and talking to candidates who are standing for the upcoming elections. This is the time for you to get to know them. Post your questions. We already have some comments coming in. So, oops, and I just dropped my phone. I will find it in 2 minutes. But thank you again. Thank you again for that. So I'll begin with the questions, and we'll begin with the first question. Will first of all, a point, Vivek. We have Sai Nagarajan has said you bring up some great points. We cannot continue to lose what we have. We need a return to excellence. And Jhansi, there'll be a question for you too, so I will get to that. So Chitra, I'll begin with you. Just briefly, if you could tell us, because radio time goes real quick, what is your plan or agenda if you are elected? Do you have a plan that people can hear about?
Yes, and I sort of alluded to this in the intro, but what my plan is, I feel that the people in Fremont, Union City, Newark, they need someone to be their voice. And my plan to do that is I want to meet with residents who are having specific problems obtaining, accessing, paying for healthcare at Washington Hospital. And I intend to do that at least twice a month, if not more, if needed. And that also means employees, because I think employees are suffering too, especially in this time of crisis with the virus. And I intend to take that information, because I've learned this as an attorney, that you can affect change by helping each individual person. Systemic change comes about but one person at a time. So by taking these issues, I will then know what are the things we need to fix. Do we need to accept more insurance, different types of insurance? Do we need to expand the services that are offered? For example, mental health, somebody mentioned, and I do believe that mental health, like inpatient psychiatric treatment as a public defender, I always saw people who were unfortunately incarcerated and re-entering the criminal justice system due to lack of mental health treatment or substance abuse treatment. So, my primary priority is to talk to people, find out what these issues are. And I believe out of that, other issues will be addressed. Like, for example, one thing that concerns me, because I have some ideas of my own about things that need to be improved. One of those is transparency, for example, with the current board. I've looked at minutes of board meetings. Approximately 75% of the board meetings are closed. This is a public entity. It's governed by the Brown Act. Another reason why I think an attorney could be useful on a board of directors. And these are things that need to be considered. And out of my relationship with the community and being a voice for the community, transparency will also flow from that, and improved services and expansion of services as well.
You brought up some very good points. There are actually some good places where attorneys belong.
Thank you.
Bilal, there's just an interesting question for you, which I wonder why, because I don't think age should be a factor, but do you think you're too young to get into politics? That's not my question.
That's a great question, and it's fair because I'm 34 and I would be the youngest member of the council if elected. Part of the reason I'm choosing to run is in seeing everything that's happening around the world right now. Times are tough right now, and I want to look back on my life in 20 or 30 years and say, when times got tough, I didn't sit on the sidelines. I chose to jump in and get involved. So on a personal level, I would say it's very much that desire. From another perspective, though, I think actually coming in with a fresh, new set of ideas is actually really helpful sometimes. And the reason I say that is that we're very fortunate in Saratoga that we've had a very stable, consistent city council, and the two incumbents that are stepping down were on the city council for 10 and 12 years respectively. And they did a great job of making sure the city was financially responsible. But all the good things that they did are not necessarily guaranteed going forward. But secondly, I think sometimes we get stuck doing things the same way. And I think sometimes it's worthwhile having someone come in and say, hey, what if we think about doing it this way? And oftentimes it's because you started doing something a certain way a couple of years ago and you just kept on doing it and no one ever questioned it again because it was working well enough, even though times have changed. I think the other thing that I'll say is, even though I'm 34, and this is something I observe all the time with the people around me in the community I've grown up around, is that we all have different life experiences based on how we've lived and what's happened to us. There are some folks I know that are in their early 20s that have experienced more life from a personal and tragic perspective than I will ever see. And so from that perspective, I feel incredibly blessed. And I have a very good mix of local government experience in the city of Saratoga, regional experience with the Trans-Regional Powers Authority, as well as a professional career that's, where I've worked with governments and corporations literally all over the world. And so I feel very confident coming in and quite experienced in and having the right skill set to be able to do what the people of Saratoga need going into the next 4 years.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, and that young question was definitely not from me. I definitely feel young blood is very important for sure, because I definitely agree that you bring in a lot of new ideas that some of us fuddy-duddies like myself, we get kind of fixed in our thoughts. So we have a question from one of our listeners, and this question is directed to Jhansi. So I always like to bring in the questions of the listeners because the show is about the community. So Jhansi, they're curious to know, why are you standing for two positions? You have the school board and you have city council. Why two?
Actually, frankly speaking, it is like my whole experience is with the school board. It is like I have been involved in the school activities, so many, and I've been working in the PTA parent associations, and I was worked as a president and vice president, and working with that. But actually, when I see, and I am also a volunteer for the homeless activities and involved in the city activities also. So one of the primary thing, which is like the reason for the city council is like, I want to be served to the homeless and at the same time to the affordable housing. There are the two things which I am working with that. So that is the issue. It drives me to go and serve in the city council too. But when I see it is like two boards, it is like, so school board is like pulling me more towards, because my ambitions towards the school board. So
your choice would be more towards going towards school board.
School board, yes.
I've been a resident of Fremont for a long time, and no, not anymore, and definitely agree. I posed this question yesterday to the group for all the mayors, and I said none of them answered it. But they're so focused on housing in Fremont, but nobody thinks about building schools. And even my own children, this is 30 years ago, were being overloaded to all the schools. And the whole purpose of buying a home in a particular area and you pay your property taxes is you hope you're going to get into the schools. So
Yes.
we have several questions that have come up for both Jhansi, yourself, and Vivek. So I'll present the next question to Vivek, and they're all about schools. So the question from Padma Gopala Krishnan. So thank you, Padma, for the question. Vivek, how will you expand opportunities for students as the current board is focused on limiting them in the name of equity?
Well, see, equity and equality, these are terms, right? But if as a board member, we keep student success as a focal point, right? Then everything starts to fall in place. Um, Now, COVID has actually given us an opportunity. It gave us a learning experience that everything doesn't have to be done in the classroom. I mean, our kids are smart. I mean, they figured out that, okay, some course is not available at school, they would take it at community college. And it would be remote instruction. My older son did this 10 years ago. But now what's happening is there's more acceptance to this. So in the name of equity, FUSD so far has been cutting courses, cutting arts program because another school side doesn't have it, or cut AP courses because another side doesn't have it. Now let's expand the courses, maybe offer them at different sites and share. So sharing will bring us a lot of cost savings, as well as allow us to expand so that we don't get into this cookie cutter mode that you only have this one path to go through high school. Whether you want to go to a 4-year college or whether you want to get into vocational training after this, there are no choices today. You have just one choice. So my thinking is we expand the curriculum, number one, and maybe offer it through remote instruction at different sites, add more vocational courses, bring the community into the fold. Because the community has a lot of experience. So getting internships from local businesses, getting internships from industry, all of that will bring a wholesome education. And we talk about mental health as being some kind of a disease today, right? It is something that builds up over time, and we have it as a bit of an epidemic. So by creating the curriculum that the student is interested in doing, rather than what the student is being forced to do, a lot of this mental stress issues will go away as well. I was just talking with a teenager yesterday, and I said, when you did your sleepovers, were you tired the following day? And the answer is no, right? It was all fun. They did not feel sleepy. They played all night, but it was not stressful. If you force somebody to work all night in a night shift, it is very stressful, right? So creating something that the student is interested in doing, and fixing your priorities so that your budgets are going towards identifying the students' needs and actually offering them what they need to succeed, they can all achieve their aspirations.
Thank you for that. My only observation, I will tell you, for what's been the online remote learning, now that we have children back with us and we have children that have moved into from pre-K to kindergarten, is I'm actually quite disappointed in what I see being offered by the Fremont School District. I mean, it's just, we have to have literally, I mean, when we put this program together so students could come back, for working parents who can't manage their kids, I mean, we literally have to have one teacher to one child because, you know, yes, South Asian kids are more, you know, adaptable to remote learning because what do we do as South Asian parents? We force nothing but academics down our kids' throats, right? That's all we know how to do, unfortunately. And that's what Fremont and all these areas do, that we just drill academics on our kids. So a 5-year-old will know how to use a computer. But if you look at a child that's been raised in a well-balanced family, I call it well-balanced, they're really struggling because their parents have not done that. They've spent more time teaching them how to play and do sports. And now suddenly these kids are on remote learning. So I'm actually really disappointed, and I'm really hoping to see Fremont School District come up with something far better than what they have right now.
Yeah, so sports is one thing, but art and music, it can be still be done remotely, right? And cutting those programs is taking away some of the stress buster.
Yes, exactly. And right now, all I see is, I mean, the first week of kindergarten, they wanted kindergartners to know verbs and nouns. I was like, could we just have some music maybe? And they've been away from school for 6 months, and you want them to know nouns and verbs. It didn't make any sense at all. Yeah.
Yes.
But so I'm going to move on to Harbir, and I'm going to come back because there are a lot of questions again about Fremont, but I definitely want to make sure everybody gets their turn. So my question is, you know, this year, I mean, I know every year there are a lot of minorities that take part in elections. I'm not really sure I want to call ourselves minorities anymore, really. But why do you think, Harbir, local elections are so important for minorities? Why?
This is a great question. So I'll give you two parts to it. One, why is it important for everyone, and why especially for our minorities? Firstly, I think, as Bilal said in the beginning, that, we think about national elections every time we think about elections, as just did I. I was just like, who cares about the boring stuff about administration, blah, 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 blah. But then you realize it's actually as much drama as in the national elections, which is why you should get involved if you're doing it for drama's sake only. No, but jokes aside, the truth is that what happens at the national level starts at the local level, right? So if you think about, just let's talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, right? So when we think of BLM, we think about these issues that are hurting part of the community, and that's it. Well, why is that happening? Because at the local level, we did not recognize who our constituents are. If we had recognized the type of community we have, we would be more involved. So let me give you about information of my community. We are 65+% a minority majority city. What that means is there are more minorities collectively than there are one particular race, right? And it should never be about race in the first place. But the reality is that seems to be the hot topic, and that's the way we see ourselves lately. So if at a local level we realize we have such a diverse community, we would ensure that our organizations, our city staff, our city representatives, the police force, the officers were representative of those communities, right? But that's not happening. Why? Because local government does not look at it as a concern of theirs, because they are still in the old school mindset. And it's really amazing, Renuji, how we are at a very, I hate the word crossroads, but we're really at a very interesting time in Americans' history. With COVID, climate, everything is hitting us all at once. And the race relations and discrimination is popping up at the same time. Well, because they got nothing else to do because they're bored of just sitting at home. It's like everybody's excited now to share their thoughts, right? So I think we've shown that the American system has been way too long the old politics or politics as usual model, and it's time for it to go, and it's time for cleaning up. And that's how our minorities, our South Asians, our families, our parents, our single moms can get involved. Because just as the show is called Voices, guess what? Your vote is your voice. That is so important, right? And if I care about what's happening to my folks, my family, which is a selfish way to look at things, frankly speaking, in my opinion, but you will realize that what happens to one outside of your own family will eventually affect you as well. So I say to all my minority brothers and sisters, our South Asian families, you have to recognize how important your vote is in the local elections. Choose people that are right for your future, that can make sure that whatever you love about your city can be sustained. If you've done math, you've done engineering, you've done management, you know capacity planning, you know budget planning, you know all these things that we often think aren't so sexy, but guess what? Those are the things that make our cities run. And those are the things we need our voters to choose on, and the people that really know how to do it well. So I would say to all the candidates here, kudos to you all for stepping up, because this is the first time in our history we need as many new faces as we can get.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We're about 20 minutes before we wrap up our show, and I definitely want to get everybody's questions in, but we're getting a lot of questions about the Fremont School District, which, it's interesting to see that, but I definitely want to get it on. So I'm going to go one more round, and then I'm going to, come back with the listener questions. So moving to you, back to you, Chitra, just give, what do you think is lacking? I mean, obviously, when you decided to take part, participate in these elections, is because you felt you could do something that somebody else has not done. What is that one thing you feel you can do that has not been done? Just that one thing. Oh, you need to mute yourself. Yeah.
Sorry. I think that I will be the voice for the community. I think it's a new way of doing things that we haven't seen from our elected officials on the board. And that's what my goal was. When I took this on, that was the goal. Talk to people, find out what is their day-to-day. Are they having problems paying their bills? They don't understand their bills. No problem is too small. And through that, I will work to also increase the transparency of the organization and improve the services and the access to the services. And this is critical because you will see on your ballot. And I know, like we talked about, these aren't the most exciting races. So you got to go all the way down to the bottom of the ballot to find Chitra, but I think I'm the only Chitra on the ballot. So, but there's also going to be a measure on your ballot asking you whether you support a $425 million bond measure to support our hospital. And if here's the thing, if the hospital wants to ask our residents, especially in these trying times with the virus and people suffering and having difficulties with work and all those things, to pay for a $425 bond measure. Now, granted, the bond measure is for building improvements and to keep up with the seismic earthquake repairs that need to be completed by 2030. But I will just say, I'm all for it in theory. Beautiful buildings are wonderful and safety is important, but I will just add that the seismic situation is not something new. It's something that's been around since 1970 and then again in 1992, I believe. So these are things that, it's now become an emergency and we need this $425 bond measure. And if you're going to ask the community for these significant sums of money, I think that you have a duty to be transparent about where the funds are spent and how they're spent. And so that is important to me.
Thank you so much. Same question to you, Bilal. What is it that's one thing that you've been sitting thinking, if I can get this position, if I can win this seat, this is the first thing I'm going to do that's not been done?
I think bringing transparency and accessibility to local government. Most folks don't know what their local government does or doesn't do. And I think there's an opportunity for us to sort of remove the curtains a little bit and show people what local government does. I've had great conversations with people in the city of Saratoga around, hey, do you know that, the city of Saratoga, for example, doesn't even have its own police department. We're so small that we actually contract with Santa Clara County and the sheriff's office there. And it's different things like that that just prompted different conversation, because as a result of that move, that means that we oftentimes don't have police officers that actually live in Saratoga, which prompts a different conversation around community safety and involvement. And so I actually think transparency and accessibility are the two things that I would really focus on in terms of just trying to bring a lot more awareness as to what's going on. Another example is, what's on your city's agenda on a monthly basis, right? What are the things that they're considering? What are the road changes they're considering? What are the budgetary decisions that are going to affect your quality of life? And just finding more creative ways to communicate that information to people, I think would be of the utmost importance to me, because if you know what the city prioritizes, you as a resident can be that much more informed when you're making your decision about who you vote for and where you should voice your opinion.
Thank you for that. So my next question goes to, I'll ask always, I'm prone to being ladies first, but the question will be for both Vivek and Jhansi, and each of you will answer independently. So a question comes from Arun Ramani, and it says, the budget at the Fremont School District has been a big problem. Once you're on the board, how do you plan to address this? Jhansi, that's for you.
Yes, so the budget, yes, I agree with that. So we are running in the very tight budget right now, FUSD. So it has we have last year, if you see that, we have a $389 million for the total general fund budget. So in that, it is 68% go to the salaries and teachers, our administrative staff benefits. So in this year, due to COVID, we might hear so much of budget cuts. And as a board member, we need to work on the different state legislation and to get more funds into the school. And along with that, as a board member, I need to reassess everything, because it's where we have to really cut some of the unimportant things, this year, what the decision made SROs. Which is, since we are in the distance learning mode, we don't need that. So there are some of the things we need to wisely make a decision. And our federal funds are very less. This is a 2% of less is for this budget. So we need to address the things where facility repairs and all those things. And at the same time, to bring the more resources to the school. So as I said, we need more counselors in the school. So right now, if you see that one counselor per 500 students. So we need to bring more counselors, so that we have to cut unnecessary things. We have to reassess the budget and address the issues. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Vivek?
Okay, so budget is the $1 million question or the $400 million question in this situation. So looking, I have to look at bookings and revenues all day long. So knowing where the money is going is that's where the thing starts, right? And I find that the board today doesn't scrutinize things enough. Where a $10 million Walters project became $40 million, and why did it go there? And so things like that, we need to find money to be able to fund things. Increasing the budget can come from maybe the teachers union can partner with us to go influence Sacramento. I mean, they are a statewide body; they can influence. Federal funds, we don't expect a whole lot more, right? But what I see is there's actually a lot of money available in the industry for specific programs. And if Apple can donate to Cupertino, we have hundreds or even thousands of Apple employees here in Fremont. So that's an example. We need to get some of those targeted dollars come to Fremont. And the local businesses want to contribute in terms of internships. All of these things, maybe not real dollars, but helps with the funding process. And last but not the least, it's a community. I mean, I would love my kids to come back and live around here, right? So that our family values are extended. And I mean, the Indians here, we don't have the luxury of having our grandparents and our nieces and nephews together. So why not build a vibrant community where the kids actually identify with the school and then come back and make Fremont the place where they raise their families? So I'm sure parents and community would be very willing to also contribute towards specific programs instead of having yet another tax measure that will make it a mandated thing. But let's try as a wholesome community to bring some more dollars to the school to make our kids successful and then bring them back to Fremont for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. And if anyone from the city of Fremont is listening to me, you're probably not going to like what I'm about to say, but I really don't care. Freedom of speech. But when during the COVID times, the sad thing is the Fremont City, I think, had some grants that they gave out to help. And it was so sad to see that after schools, learning programs, institutions, preschools, we didn't get grants. I mean, even $1,000 would have helped us. We didn't get them, but restaurants got them. And I was trying to understand how this reasoning was done, because in restaurants, you can't bring people into your restaurant. You're able to put people out in the patio. But what do you want us to do with after school kids and preschoolers? We can't put them in the parking lot to teach them. And they completely forgot that schools and education should be a priority. But for some reason, the city of Fremont thought restaurants are more important in Fremont. And I'm not saying restaurants are not. All businesses are important, but education is critical. So thank you for sharing your views on that. We're almost at our closing, but before that, I have a question for Herbir from Sai Nagarajan. He was very happy to see you here. His question to you is, what are your views on the rise of hate crimes? Should school districts in this area expand offerings in diversity and inclusion?
Okay, thank you, Sai. I think you and I know each other very well in terms of these topics. I guess this is something that we can all relate to. And he's very right. There's actually a website, you guys, anybody who's interested can check out. It's called hatemap.org. It tells you all the hate organizations across the country. And it's a very sad day, actually, in that regard. But here's the reality. First of these things is teaching children how to engage each other is very important. And children, I don't believe, and Renuji knows, and many of you are students or teachers or interested in these type of subjects, know that they're innocent. They don't have particular biases of their own. They come to the table clear-minded, everything's exciting. Yes, we do need to change the way we bring them up and educate them. So yes, do I want to see more diversity inclusion in school? Absolutely. So as you know, I do a lot of awareness training for Sikh Awareness Month, and I launched the commemorative months at the Cultural Commission to celebrate every different heritage that made up our community per month. And September is actually Mexican Heritage Month or Hispanic Heritage Month. So that being said, we do need to do that. Now, how do you do that? Because city government and student and schools are separate boards and governed by separate entities. However, as Mr. Vivek had said, we can educate them and bring them up outside of the school as well. So my goal is to launch a diversity and inclusion commission for the city if I win. And what that would do is set certain measurements and metrics for our city staff, for our city commissions, for our city councils and engage the public organizations to talk about the issues that our public is facing and how do we collaborate in solving those problems. It does not have to be one entity's responsibility to complete all the outcomes, but let's work together on that. And I wanted to just tell you why one of my items, Renuji, I mentioned was that I want to create a pipeline of future leaders. That's one of the reasons, because when the kids get involved now, they're going to be definitely more engaged in the process and on boards in the future. Right now, I have 12 youth members on my youth committee, and of them, most of them are between the age of 14 and 16. So they said to me, Habir Auntie, just in case you don't win, but we know you're going to win, you've already won because now we're going to be involved in shaping the future. What else could I ask for that? And I want to show you all this behind me, the craziness. This is my war room. This is what it takes to win this.
Thank you for that. We have a few more minutes left, so I'm going to go around, and if everybody can give just a 1 minute closing, why people should vote for you. You know, I mean, we've had, this is our third show. We've featured many different South Asian community leaders, and this is your chance to give your voice out there and give your message out there, and why somebody should choose you over your opposing candidate. So Chitra, I'll begin with you.
All right. Well, thank you. I think if you want somebody who's going to do things in a different way, be a different voice on the board, who's going to be your voice on the board. Every day I fight for my clients. And if you want me to fight for you and help you get better, accessible, affordable healthcare, and if you want somebody who believes that healthcare is a right, not a privilege, then I'm your candidate. And I have been endorsed by the Democratic Party and the Nurses Association, and I would also love your support as well. So
how can they reach you or learn more about you? If you could give your website as well or information.
Yes, chitraforoffice.com, and I'm also on Facebook. So please check it out and message me if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you.
Bilal, the young Bilal, the 34-year-old Bilal.
Thank you, Renu. You know, we could have an infinite number of these forums and there'd be no way for us to talk about every single issue that's going to come up. So I think at the end of the day, what matters is the values that we as candidates care about. And just in closing, one of the values that I care about is a value that I feel like I learned growing up here in the Bay Area. I'm Pakistani, but my best friends growing up were from all backgrounds. They were, when it comes to the South Asian community, they were Sikh, Jain, Hindu, and every possible variation possible within the Muslim community as well. So the one thing I've always learned from the community has been how important it is for us to look after one another and be inclusive and come together. And if there's anything that we've learned in such a tough year like this, is that we need each other more than ever. And the one thing that I'm going to do, if elected to city council, is put that community first in terms of bringing people together, because there's no shortage of divisiveness in the country at this point. But what we need to do is, fight that, division by coming together. And that's something that I'm always going to prioritize. You can learn more about me and my campaign. It's BilalForSaratoga.com. That's also the same for my Instagram handle, Bilal for Saratoga, as well as on Facebook. Thank you again, Renu.
That's how I know you're young, because I learned the word Instagram handle from the young kids. I never knew when somebody asked me, what's your Instagram handle? I'm like, handle? What's a handle? So it's interesting to see in the 20 years how things have progressed. And even my grandson is able to, move around on his iPad far quicker than Nani. So it's very interesting to see that. Vivek.
Fremont and education have been synonymous for a long time, but declining enrollment suggests that things are going down it's a beginning of a downward spiral at the very least. So we want to show that up. I bring the experience of working with the school community, bringing consensus to a lot of things that used to be contentious. I will be your voice, like Chitra also said. We need the voice of the parents in the board, with a single point focus. Allow the students to achieve their aspirations, not what the school district is able to give to them. So we need a change. We need somebody that can manage the budgets better. And we also need somebody that will be fully focused on our customer, which is the student. So please vote for me. Let's make Fremont a vibrant community again, where youth will want to come and settle.
And how can people learn more about you?
Well, our website is voteforvp.com with the number 4.
So I assume Jhansi and you are vying for the same seat, right?
No, we
No.
are different districts.
Different districts.
Different districts. Okay, that's good. I was going to say, okay, we could have had a debate over here. That would have been quite interesting. Jhansi.
Yes. So quality education is one of the most important thing I want to bring into this one. So we, being educationists, creative thinking to our schools and our children every day, that is like important. So I have the passion for the education. Anyone who knows me knows that it is true. And the good education, it doesn't mean that it is like you look for the SBAC scores and all. A good education will instill curiosity and inquisitiveness in our kids. So I'll make them independent critical thinkers as well as the problem solvers. So our school must bring the change that bring the kids, which is like a lifelong thirst for the knowledge. And also we need to, I work with every community member, teachers and students and parents, and to bring the equity in the schools. And also I want to make a good relationship with the teachers and administrators and every stakeholder in Fremont school community. Thank you. And my name is Jhansi Kalpala. I'm running for Fremont Unified School District Area 4.
Area 4. Okay, I get so confused in all the areas. Yeah, thank you so much for that.
My website is www.jhansiforschoolboard.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Harbir.
So thank you. I know you have a very hard stop at once, so I'm going to try to keep this short. I believe our city is facing the similar issues that we're seeing in national politics, and it's time for the establishment model of doing politics to go. We really need fresh voices, but more than that, we need qualified individuals to actually run our cities and plan for a future that is thriving and enriching for everyone. And I believe I can be that person to bring all the diversity and the inclusion to the table, but not for the sake of it, but for the sake of building the best solutions possible, because with diverse points of view, you have the best outcomes. So I believe I'm that right candidate. I'm the most qualified candidate. And I really hope if Vaiguru intends it to be, then I will be, and I will continue my work. If not, we'll still be here. But my goal is to win. So I want to show you this little ad that my friends made. So please vote Harbir. And my website is voteharbir.com.
Thank you, everybody. And you know, this week, as we all know, we lost a great leader, a woman, Judge Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who paved the path for women in so many different areas. So I mean, I think men are great, but no bias. I, of course, always love to see women moving ahead and moving forward. And the country has taken a big loss, and definitely we want to encourage all our children, the future, you guys, all of you, to to build and make this place a better place. I left Kenya to come here for a better life, and I want a better life with better leaders. So on that note, thank you very much. Thank you all the listeners for participating. We'll see you next week. And if you're single, don't forget to tune in tonight at 7 o'clock for Prem Connection. All right. Thank you very much, and take care, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.